Hey, Gavin.
Hey, Louie.
Diva, we've made it to the autumnal era, okay?
Oh, my God.
Can you feel the crispiness?
I can. I feel the pumpkin deep in my soul.
Is that a RuPaul reference or is that a Love Actually reference?
It's a little bit of both, baby, if you
want. Why not los dos, baby? It's so good to see you. We were just talking off camera, off mic, how it's been a little while. Now that I'm, our last episode, I was here in Boston, but like now it's just us.
Yes.
And it feels like, special. We've been doing this show for so long now, Gavin.
We have.
And
it's almost 8 years, or it is 8 years. I don't know. I don't know what time is. I don't know what the passage of time is like. I just keep getting younger and more beautiful. So
I was also saying off mic, you do look younger and more beautiful this evening. I look like a little gremlin. And this is not me, like, no pun intended, flexing. I've been trying to get back into a gym routine. The thing that I forget is that you do need to sleep.
Yes,
because I am so exhausted. I'm like, oh. And everyone I'm like, I don't like going to the gym. Okay, I just need to go to the gym because my body hurts if I don't like keep it moving. Okay, so
it is important to keep in mind that it is GTL with a silent S at the end.
Right,
it's Gym Tan Laundry Sleep.
Oh, I thought it was Gym Tan Laundry Slay. But I do that every day. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Mixed Reviews.
We are a film podcast where we take a film subject such as an actor, director, or a mini genre. We take an entire month, we get as much info as we can, and we condense it all down into one single narrative for you, and then we talk about what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah, the reviews, in fact, are mixed.
Oh, yes.
We have a lot of fun. Our last episode was with Kevin Tudor of Almost Major.
Yes,
returning diva doll and fellow Bostonite now. We've been trying to like plot like a movie to go to. A queer bar in town is doing a free screening of But I'm a Cheerleader, so we're gonna try and go do that.
Make him like do the wrist thing or something so they won't know that he's straight.
I am scared. I'm like, okay, it's like a primarily lesbian bar, but everyone is welcome. And so I'm like, okay, how are we gonna walk in? Like, I was like, okay, we're gonna hold hands. We are.
Wear some flannel, you'll be fine.
Yeah. I think, but listen, like Kevin's really cool. I feel like his energy will like be really perfect for this scenario.
Absolutely.
We had a lot of fun talking about Jet Li in our last episode. I truly did not know what I was in for on that episode, but like some of those movies truly are just masterpieces. It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, I was really shocked at the amount of things that I truly loved, because I do think, based on sort of the American ideal of what Jet Li is and what Jet Li can do, it feels like a lot of testosterone, a lot of straight movies. And no, he has so many beautiful Chinese films that are just straight up masterpieces, and so many batshit fucking crazy American films that really like round that out as well.
Right. The duality of man. Okay.
Absolutely.
Zen.
I rarely, while I'm trying to build up I've said this before on the show, like I flush whatever information I had from a previous episode out because there's only so much my brain can take. And so in doing the prep for Debra Winger, which is this episode, normally I wouldn't like stop down, watch something that I missed from the last episode, but you both were so complimentary to Fist of Legend that I had to go make sure that I saw it. And honestly, you're both right. Your Fist of Legend is very, very good.
It's so good. And it is a beautiful, wonderful thing to be able to see a movie that is action-packed and entertaining, but also so deeply emotional and meaningful. And I know that sounds silly, but like that's kind of why we fucking loved Top Gun Maverick, right? Like it's just like I'm thrilled by seeing Jet Li and these amazing performers do these crazy acrobatics and stunts and fights, but also like there is we talked about this a lot, like honor and art and family. Like it's just good stuff.
It's a very good combo. We do have one tiny bit of old business. It's not very deep or very long, which is, I'll say that again.
What is like, Gavin?
But I was like, oh, I don't know how to fix that joke. But somebody did leave a comment on Spotify, which is a thing you can do now. So if you want to leave us a comment on Spotify, you always can. about our summer vacation movies, which was actually 2 episodes ago. And this is a CE dancer who said Monte Carlo deserved several Oscars. I don't care.
Oh my goodness. Okay, as the person, we both watched Monte Carlo, right?
Yes, yes, we
You
did.
watched
We
it.
did.
I know I watched it for sure. Um, that's crazy. First of all, that is very crazy.
Yeah, that
Um,
is the hottest of takes. Uh,
I understand like the sentiment of that, but like the movie isn't even girly pop enough for that. Like it's like if Selena Gomez was like sledding it around in like
yeah,
Paris or whatever, like it, it, I stick to my take. Amanda Guns would never. Amanda
and
Amanda Bynes would never. I said
Amanda
Amanda Guns.
Bynes. Yeah,
Amanda
yeah.
Guns. Amanda
She is the
Bynes would
boom
never.
boom gun.
Hello.
Uh, Once again, just want to remind the audience, if you've not seen Monte Carlo, imagine the lead as Nicole Kidman because it was written as a Nicole Kidman vehicle.
And I keep thinking that who is the Ryan Reynolds' wife?
Oh,
Um
Blake Lively.
I keep thinking Black Canary is Blake
Blake
Lively,
Lively.
but it's not. It's Black
Yeah,
Canary, whatever her
yeah.
name is.
White Canary also as well, right? Or no. It is just Black Canary. That's right. You're right because the White Canary is the other one.
Oh, right, the other one who stayed
Mm,
on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not us in our CW like DC lore. Oh,
Oh, I stayed on for too long
too
when it came to
long.
the DC lore.
You
I
sure
was
did.
literally watching the final episode of The Flash, like, what am I doing with my life?
Yeah, girl,
So
pick it up. I had to drop all of those divas. But anyway, Monty, we appreciate the comment. And honestly, Slay, good for you, babe. I hope that you had a great time watching Monte Carlo. Give her all those imaginary Oscars in your head. Um, we live, laugh, and we love.
who's
Um,
presenting that? Who is
it's Las Culturistas
it's last
present
culture exactly.
the Culture Awards. But okay, so yes, I'm glad that summer movies episode has some legs and people are still discovering that. I hope people discover Jet Li. Both really fun episodes too.
I do say, by the way, and I know you're trying to get us out of old business, but real quick, I do often say there is no bad episode in order to start the mixed reviews on. We do not do this in any sort of way that has necessarily like impactful continuity to the previous episode to the next episode, except for like our Spielberg episode, which was a two-parter. Everything else is kind of pick up as you will. So
Yes.
I do like that. Like sometimes a certain subject will attract some other people, and sometimes a certain subject will, because who knows what the crossover is between summer vacation movies and Jet Li. Hopefully there's
Yeah.
some. Obviously, hopefully there's people that come back every week or every
Yeah.
month. But
Yeah. Yeah. You choose your own adventure, babes. Okay. Uh, but all right, let's get into this episode. This episode's subject, like Gavin said, we're talking about Debra Winger. She has been in the wings for a while for us. Um,
yes.
how did she originally came up in a bracket, right?
Yes. So she was originally added to our sort of like want list, which we have like an ever growing list of like people we want to cover and people we haven't
Yeah.
covered. And she, the very first year we did May Madness, she was one of the 8 choices because you gave her out as an option because I gave you like a list of a bunch of people and you were like, what about Deborah Winger? I am so interested in knowing more about her. And I was like, great choice, fascinating. I'd love to know more about Deborah Winger. And I do feel like I learned a lot. But yeah, so she was on one of the original. Since then, because we've now gone
Yeah.
monthly, we used to be
Yeah.
biweekly. It's we've turned May Madness specifically into queers only. So sorry, Deborah.
Yeah.
But
Sorry, Debbie. Um,
so she's been on the back burner for a bit.
yeah, and I think I remember uh, we can talk about like, how we know Deborah Winger. I will say like I knew nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. She like I'm a little bit like just like a hair young to like know like when she was like really popping off.
Yeah, that
Um
makes sense.
and because and as we'll learn, she really took a dip out of Hollywood and making movies as I was like, becoming an age where I can like learn about things. And so when I would see, I think through the show, and we'd come across like, Oscar clips and like, and the name just kept coming up and I'm like, what the fuck? Like Deborah Winger. Like, I don't know who this person is. But what always struck me was that number one, she's so strikingly beautiful. Like
Yes,
in a
gorgeous.
in a very like classic Americana way. Like it's very and like I hope this sounds not like a misogyny, but like she is not blonde. She has beautiful curly brunette hair. She looks exactly like the girl next door like imagination that you might have like because I guess what I'm trying to say is like it's very hard. Like I think it's like a very easy thing to be like, oh, a blonde girly. Like and everyone kind of knows what person looks like. She is the other one. She is like
Right.
the brunette, very natural. And she has this like kind of immediate magnetism to her.
I think what you're saying too is like she's coming up, and I think to like give people a frame of reference, like she's coming up around the same time as like the Kim Cattralls of the world, or like the Kim Basingers, like who are very blonde, very like Nordic looking, and
Yeah.
she's not that.
She's very not that. And I remember just thinking like, oh yeah, like I should watch, An Officer and a Gentleman. I should watch Terms of Endearment. And I just never got to it. And so
The Terms of Endearment is shocking, but also I think that comes from being white. And I think that might be why you didn't say, because Terms of Endearment was like a Mevius household staple.
yeah, I will say that my dad, this is not Terms of Endearment, but my dad and my mom both were like very like Urban Cowboy. Like they were like, oh,
Yeah.
that's our shit. Like because it was
Texas narrative.
Texas, yeah, and they would go to the discos, like in the like dance halls or whatever. Like my family was two-stepping and shit. And so like yes, like I had heard of the movie Terms of Endearment, but I had never sought it out. I don't think anyone in my family like ever saw it. So, but I'll just say I was so interested.
You're building my case for me.
Yes, yes. But and speaking of which, we need to do a Shirley MacLaine episode. Oh my god,
Yes. Yeah,
like
yeah.
we got to put her on. But yeah, so
Call her
I had
people.
I had no like I don't think I'd seen any of these films. I don't think I'd seen a single movie that
Wow.
she was in before this past month of me watching. Except well, okay, we saw Legal Eagles for
Yes,
Robert Redford,
Robert
which
Redford.
R.I.P. Robert.
I know.
That was what last week maybe.
Yeah, literally around this time last week too.
Yep.
Nonetheless, I think tomorrow morning would be a week from when that occurred, and yeah, it's such a loss. And like, listen, I know I really subscribe to the like Robert Altman sort of way of thinking, like the death of an old man isn't a tragedy, but he was very impactful, not just in the world of film, but in the world of charity. And I think a force for good in this world. And it's always sad when the like good people go and the
Yeah.
horrible people are still alive. That's
Yeah. Say that, baby. I had seen Radio before, but I didn't clock who this person was. Obviously, we saw Rachel getting married.
Yes.
But like none of those are like the Debra Winger show,
Yes.
And so yeah, this was it's been a long while, I think, in this project of ours that I've come in so cold to someone.
I
But
love that.
and I was telling you earlier, like I had such a kind of strange watching experience. And like I would tell people like, oh, I'm watching Debra Winger, we're doing a Debra Winger, and everyone's really complimentary of her, and everyone's like, she's incredible, she's blah. And then like I would watch these movies, and I was like, huh, what? And so I am excited for us to get into it and maybe like unpack if I'm missing some things or like I do think she's a very good actress. That voice,
Yeah.
uh,
She also carries a reputation with her. And like we've talked about this before, reputations a lot of times are set by men,
yeah.
and they're really hard to like, especially when they're weaponized against women.
Yeah.
Like and sometimes they're weaponized against women by other women.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Super interesting career and things. I mean, obviously you knew who she was and seen her movies
Yes.
before this.
Yeah.
What was your introduction to her?
It's probably Terms of Endearment. That's probably the earliest thing I saw. I'd never seen Urban Cowboy. I knew of it. I knew enough of it to be able to make jokes about it. And I'd seen probably most of An Officer and a Gentleman before. but never in a way that like I wanted to sit down and like listen. I think you're also going to be surprised going through this episode that there were certain things that are very famous of hers that don't do anything for me, because I like when she's allowed to. I think she is very good, and I'm curious to like get where you are on that. But I do think there are some pieces where she's like unnecessarily good almost, where it's just like like
I
the project didn't deserve her maybe, or
it's like, baby, you're too big for this. You're too
yeah,
big for
yeah,
this. I just thought maybe I it might have been that like everyone was so complimentary. 3 Oscar nominations. I was like, I think maybe I hyped myself up too much to be like really gobsmacked. And it might also be that like some of these projects, I just like not my shit. Like just
yeah.
deeply not like, as you were saying, white people stuff. Though I mean, like, but some of the white people stuff I'm really into. But like, there, what's this fucking movie? We'll get to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to all that. But okay, I think we're in for an interesting ride. Why don't we get into our rewind? So I've been calling Debra Winger Debbie Wingy, but
Is that not a real name?
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's not Debbie Wingy. Her Deborah Lynn Winger, which
Are you those twins online? It's the Da
yeah,
Vinci,
yeah,
like
it's the Da Vinci
Debra
twins.
Wingy.
Deborah Wingy. I I think it's so crazy. I found an interview with her like with Texas Monthly because she
I
was
found the same interview.
she was inducted into the Texas Movie Hall of Fame, and they were like, "Why are you here?" And she's like, "I have no idea what is
Yeah.
going on." And they
Yep.
were like, "Oh well, you were an Urban Cowboy, so we're giving you an award." And she's like, "Slay," which is so silly, but also like she does kind of have like she plays a lot of like Southern women, and she does it really well, I think.
Yes.
And with a name like Deborah Lynn Winger, it just like I was like, I would I would assume, but she's in fact not. She was born in Cleveland Heights, Ohio. She's Jewish.
She's very Jewish, like
Very
extremely Jewish.
We're
Which
gonna get to it.
good, great, you know?
She was born in 1976. She's 70 years old.
Yeah. I just saw a bit of her on Turner Classic Movies that she did this summer. They did like a her and Ben Mankiewicz, and her hair is like gloriously gray. It's just this like massive gray mane. I love it.
Yeah. Mane is a good word. She is always has that. It's not a puff. It's like this beautiful cascade of hair, thick hair.
I found an old interview of her from the 90s where the interviewer was like, "Do you get recognized a lot?" She's like, "No." She's like, "Normally my hair isn't as big as this and whatnot. Like or if I do get recognized, people are like, why would she be here?" And I just think that's so funny. That's like, I think you're probably getting recognized more than you think you are.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she has this like kind of presence, this aura that I think like from the beginning to like now, like every time I see her doing interviews, I'm like, she kind of is always. She's like, what me, my attitude, my reputation,
Right.
like she has that old school Hollywood thing that like is not really common anymore.
I was listening to some podcast, and I don't even remember what it was, so I feel bad I'm not doing an advertisement for them, but the host asked the guest, who was an actress herself, like, are there any dames anymore? And she's like, "No, I don't think so really." And then she's like, "Maybe Carrie Coon." Carrie Coon's the kind of woman I can imagine sidling up to a bar and be like, "Give me a martini. You wouldn't believe the kind of day I've been having."
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think Debra Winger also has that
yeah.
quality, you know?
She's like kind of like a shit kicker, you know? She's kind of
Yes.
like just, you know, takes no fucking prisoners, really proud and intense. But anyway, so she was born into a Jewish family, Robert Winger, who was a meatpacker, and Ruth, who was an office manager. So very like, I mean, classic Ohio, like middle class, working class family. She studied criminology and sociology in California, California State University, but didn't complete a degree. She, this is kind of like crazy slash unconfirmed, but at 18, she went to Israel to either go on like a volunteer trip or to literally train and join the IDF.
Yes.
She in 2008, she said it was just like a regular kind of what's that trip called? I'm sorry, I didn't grow up around Jewish people.
Birthright, but she calls
Birthright,
it, but it's called kibbutz.
a kibbutz. She says that it was just a kibbutz.
Yeah.
I don't. I There are a lot of
And
sources before 2008 that were like, no, she was training in the IDF.
yeah, I even got like there's a very famous Barbara Walters interview where Barbara Walters interviewed her literally because Barbara Walters had been attempting to interview Betty Davis for years, and in 1986 she got to interview her, and Betty Davis said the only person that she could think of like that was like a old time star was Debra Winger, and partially because of this difficult reputation, which we'll talk about later. So I might save that sound clip for a little later of her talking about being difficult. But so in 1987, Barbara Walters did like a big interview with Betty Davis and then with Debra Winger. And I found a bit in that interview where she like talks about like
Yeah,
holding a machine gun and whatnot. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if it was 3 months. I was 3 months living in, I was 3.5 months living in Israel. I think I was less time, but it was about 6 weeks, but it was incredibly difficult. And, well, I mean, just the Uzi alone weighs a lot. But we were doing sort of maneuvers in the hills above Tel Aviv, and I don't think the Army's a life for me.
so I don't want to let her off the hook just because in 2008 she was like, oh no, it was just a volunteer trip. It's like, Diva, if you were born into the family and that's like what was expected of you, like own that shit and just say it was fucked up and like you regret it. Like I wish it was very normal for people to say I did something that was bad and I regret it and I know
yeah.
that it wasn't smart anymore and it's fine.
And listen, she's very politically active, and we'll talk about it towards the end of this rewind.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that doesn't. It would be so much easier if she was just like, yes, it did. But also, it does feel like one of those things where it's almost like if people can't prove it, she can get away with it.
Yeah, that's true. She clearly did not stay in Israel.
No.
She came back to the US and I mean, I didn't know this at all. Just so crazy. She still 18. She was thrown from the back of a truck
Mm-hmm.
and was paralyzed, partially paralyzed, spent months in the hospital. And it was while she was in the hospital that she was like, I want to be an actress. Fuck all this criminology, sociology stuff. She kind of knew what she wanted to do.
I was in the hospital for a very long time and was paralyzed temporarily and lost my eyesight for a while. I remember thinking, because it was much more, at that time, at that moment, momentless moment, it was much more comfortable to go. It felt much more comfortable to go towards the light and to relax, because that's what the visual was. But I don't know, I just don't think I was finished. Just didn't quite get everything in there. So that was when I was, 17 years old. Well, first of all, I said that I wasn't going to spend a day doing anything I didn't want to do. I was told that acting was a hobby. You don't get paid for that. So I was doing it on the side and, working at the police department and sociology major. I just stopped everything. It seemed ludicrous. It could, it's gone like that, this life.
Two things about that accident, too. One, she was at the time dressed as a performance character at Six Flags.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Six Flags thing. Yes.
She was hired by, I can't remember if it was Magic Mountain or not.
I think it was Magic Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah. And two, not only was she partially paralyzed, she was blind
Yeah.
for 10 months.
I mean, like almost a year of recovery and, just getting better and you can't do it. Like, it's not like, oh, I have a cast on. Like she was partially paralyzed, couldn't see. And so, yeah. And that she said, if I get better, I'm going to go to California and become an actress. She was already at CSU. I don't understand. She was in California for college.
Yes.
Then went to Israel, came back to go work, and then got in this accident. And then she said, I'm actually going to go try and like make this happen for myself.
You know what's crazy about all of this in terms of like our research? She did write an autobiography in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It is not easy to find. And trust me, I did try and find it to read it for this. And I ran out of time at a certain point. I was like, it's not worth it to try and continue down this path when I know I won't finish it in time. But I just think it's funny that it's not like she wrote an autobiography in like 1990 or something.
Yeah.
It's not, it's it's literally within this century, and it's still difficult. And I even found like an interview with her on The View where she's like, it's not an autobiography. So like,
Yeah. I also wonder if like I don't know how this works, but I wonder if like, because she might have told some tales out of class, and I wonder if she was like, we're not going to do any reprints.
Yeah.
Like, no, let's not make it available anywhere. I don't know that for a fact, but it is. I also was like reading up, and they were like, Diva, you talked about this in your book, and she's like, what book?
yeah,
Like, so, yeah, it's kind of silly, but all that being said, she recovers, thank God. That seems horrible. Cerebral hemorrhage, Jesus Christ.
yeah, wild.
But so she goes to LA, and she in interviews she talks about like they'll say like, your first big break, like your big break was Urban Cowboy, and we'll come back, but like they're like, how did you do it? And she was like, I lied, I stole, I cheated. Like she was and I have to assume, if you're like really, thinking with yourself in this really horrible situation, like, I don't give any fucks. I'm gonna like
Right.
show up to the casting calls, make my way so that the casting directors see me. And that is what happened with Urban Cowboy. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even have an agent. I think I lied, cheated. I don't know what I did to get it, but the whatever I did to get into the office was all I really had to do, because Jim Bridges really championed me. He just decided that he wouldn't make the film without me.
You were right for the part.
Yeah.
She felt the rain on her skin. Okay.
She did.
But so rewinding a little bit, before Urban Cowboy, the first role she did was Debbie in the 1976 sexploitation film Slumber Party 57. Now, Kevin, that sounds familiar. Did we watch this for our Slashers on Film?
We did not, because it is not a horror movie. I did watch it for this, and it is a sexploit. Like Barbara Walters referred to it as softcore. It is not softcore. There is like very little like even simulated sex in it. Like it's like a titty flick. It's like ooh, there's butts, and there's like maybe some implied nudity, but it's really not. It's very tame by today's standards. A lot of what would have been called at the time a drive-in movie, which is a movie essentially built for you to make out through.
Right. Like there's no plot really. It's just kind of
right. It's a bunch of girls. I did watch it. It's a bunch of girls talking about how they lost their virginity, and then spoiler alert, in the end they're all like, we made it all up. Oh no.
Oh my
God.
God. Girlies.
Okay, you guys, fess up. Did you or didn't you? Okay, so I guess we all exaggerated. Big deal, didn't you? Yeah. I guess I did. 99 and 44, 100% pure corn-fed bull. And all because of us. Poor little Sherry got those guys to come over here to...
We have to go stop her. We have to go tell her the truth.
But the funny thing is you too can watch this movie through the Internet Archive, which we haven't really ever talked about the Internet Archive on this show. And I'll just make this real quick. The Internet Archive is an invaluable resource for a lot of stuff like this, a lot of media that is considered lost. And there have been attacks over the last like 5 or so years, spearheaded by a shitty author, to get the Internet Archive taken down. And I just think that's like a toxic use of like trying to destroy the ability to share media. And I understand there are some things that end up on the Internet Archive that like probably the copyright has not lapsed and probably feels a little bit like piracy. But there are so many things like this movie, which like not a great piece of art, but is Debra Winger's first film. And so like you can go on the Internet Archive and watch this now.
There's value in that. After Slumber Party 57, she was in Wonder Woman. She played Drusilla, Wonder Girl.
A completely made up character. Wonder Girl existed in the comics at the time, but Drusilla is a character that did not exist in the comics. They made her up for the show.
They probably faked this to make sure that none of them tried to escape until all 4 were captured.
Well, where have they taken them to?
Airfield, the dock, who knows?
How are we going to find them?
Wait a minute. Gloria Beverly said that it was either the studio or his estate, and they're not here. Let's go.
Yeah, Diana's younger sister. Just a couple episodes. She
Can I tell you a funny story about that, though?
Please.
So she does 3 episodes of Wonder Girl. You're probably just going to mention that she thought it would hurt her career, so that's why she literally had to raise the money to buy herself out of the contract.
Whoa. She
Yeah.
said, listen, I can't do this, Linda. I gotta go.
Yeah. And listen, for all of her like difficult labeling, Linda Carter has only ever said nice things about Debra Winger. In fact, said that like she thought Debra Winger like looked up to her like mentor. So that's very nice.
I mean, I think I'll save my thoughts on like the difficult behavior stuff, but like, yes. Like, it's not like universally she's like hated. Like, I do think like the common thread is like she almost fucking died and she demands respect and wants to do the thing she wants to do, period.
Yeah.
But okay. So her first like major role that wasn't a sexploitation film was actually Thank God It's Friday, which is a kind of like a disco ploitation film. Like
Yeah.
it's very loosey-goosey plot. It's basically a bunch of different people interconnecting-ish storylines going to a club in LA, right? It's in LA.
Yeah.
And
Can you imagine? That club was fucking real. And it's 4 floors. It even truly had that like icicle room where
I was like, why are we in Batman and Robin? This is crazy.
It was real. And it existed until the 90s when they tore it down.
Oh,
Why tear that place down? That is a
Burning of
historical
Alexandria.
landmark. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
it's a silly Billy film. Like, I don't know that there's like a lot here to like. She plays like a girly who's like kind of a ditz and keeps dropping things. I can't even recall.
as she described it, like she got to play the square.
Yeah. Like everyone else is kind of like cookie bookie, and she's like just like a regular gal. And I think in the end she stumbles into a regular guy, and like because both of their friends are freaks, and like but like they literally I think stumble into each other, and then like that's all. Like we don't really get any story about them being together or having a night out or whatever. It's just like kind of loosey-goosey.
For years, Leonard Maltin hated this movie because the song "Last Dance" won the Academy Award. And let me tell you, Leonard Maltin, relax. "Last Dance" is an amazing song,
incredible. And I'm blanking. Donna Summer, she's in this film. She plays another. Like she's not playing herself, but like it is.
But
herself.
basically, yeah.
The Commodores are also. It's a very silly movie. I would put this on at a party, like background, because.
It'd be a great party movie. Yeah. Or like in the background in a bar, like
yes, 100%. Okay, that was in 1978. So she really pops off though in 1984 Urban Cowboy, like I mentioned before. Urban Cowboy, which if you're not familiar, is this John Travolta kind of banger that he had already done Saturday Night Fever. And so like he was really popular. A lot of women were up for this role, and Debbie Winger said, "I don't think so, honey." And she bid out some pretty big names for the role, and she's kind of like electric in it. Like she's just this like magnet of charm and radiates. Again, like I said, that number one, she looks incredible in a cowboy hat.
She does.
That head of hair was made for a cowboy hat right in the middle. I did not do much research on like how like they must have worked really hard to be on the fucking cowboy that
bull,
the mechanical bull.
The mechanical bull.
That just kind of was an osmosis. It started out as a competition, fast riding, and I started working with the stunt coordinator, and then I started to feel that, I feel differently about this. I feel this is not really a macho competition. I'm hurting, and I'm trying to make my husband jealous. And Sissy was also a sensual, very strange kind of sensual creature, but she was. And it kind of developed into this thing that I did not feel sexual when I was doing it. I felt that it was really I was showing off. And I remember when some of the reviews came out, I stayed in my house. I mean, I was just, they mortified me.
Because they talked about how sexy you were
Yeah.
and sensual you
And
were.
that is so frightening to me anyway, to understand what being sexy is. Because I think the minute that you think you are, or that you think you know what it is and you try it, it's the least sexy thing in the world.
Do you think you are?
Of course not. I mean, I don't even know what that word means, you know? I know when I feel it about someone else.
Yeah.
But I know that it has nothing to do with anything that's conscious, self-conscious.
And also learning how to like two-step and stuff. Like her
Yeah.
and John Travolta, they really got it going on in that film.
And-
like they
and
really got it
she-
going on.
And first of all, also, once again, think about riding a mechanical bull and then also thinking about the fact that at one point you were paralyzed. Like, just leave that in your brain. But
Yep.
also, she said she had no mechanical bull experience. So it was just like, she just knew she had to get on and make it look as natural as possible. I will say, I don't know if it's shade or not because she's just telling the truth, but she said when it came to John Travolta, like she had a ton of chemistry, but she was also envious because he was in the middle of a career or at the start of a career in which he was getting famous for playing himself essentially over and over again. And she wanted that. She was like, I want that fame, but that's not how I want to get it. Like, I'm not interested in just playing myself. And I think she kind of outacts him in this movie.
I agree. I mean, but I will say, like, her role is more interesting.
Yes.
I mean, and this is a product of its time, but like his role is pretty chauvinistic. Like the big emotional finale is him finally swallowing his pride and saying, I'm sorry, and like, I'll never hit you again. And it's like, I will say, like, and I like this movie a lot. I don't love how much we're hitting Debra Winger in this movie.
Yeah, no.
It's a lot. It's aggressive.
I don't like this movie. I'll come right out and say it. This is one of the famous ones that didn't work for me. And I think part of it is because almost every dramatic thing that happens in this movie, like the important stuff, like them like really falling in love, like why I should root for them as a couple, like why I should root for them when they're separating as a couple, happens in montage. And then everything that's not happening in montage is like straight out of the cliche factory. And like literally it could just be the fact that I've now had 40 years since this movie came out to like see every derivative version that's come after this. And so that could totally be on me. And I'll take some of that onus. But I was like, I've seen this movie and I don't care. And he's awful. Like, I mean, Travolta's good. I don't want to, but that character is awful. He sucks.
Yeah.
And then to like,
Bud.
you have Scott Glenn, who I love, and I actually think is actually kind of quite sexy in this film.
So hot.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Okay.
hot.
I was like, am I alone in this? Am I on this island alone? But then like, in order to make him worse, they have to like make him worse. So like he goes like from zero to cartoon very quickly.
Yeah, that I agree with that. I do think I understand you saying like I've seen this before, but watching this movie, I was like, oh, this is where they all got that from. I mean, her doing the sexy thing on the mechanical bull, I was like, oh my God. Debra Winger invented being sexy on a mechanical bull. Holy shit.
And she looks great on it too. And like, I don't want to take that away from, I think it's a very good looking movie. And it's funny.
I think it's a beautiful film. I think it is very beautiful.
And like, I think James Bridges is such an interesting filmmaker because he's made some movies that I think are very good. The China Syndrome was my 5-star review when we did Jane Fonda. But then I also think he's made some movies that are very bad. He made Perfect, the Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta exercise movie. Yeah, exactly. So like,
which feels in conversation with this movie. Like
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. She gets nominated for a BAFTA award, a Golden Globe nomination, including the since retired Best New Star.
Exactly. I didn't see that before, and I just saw that. I was like, ooh, 2 Golden Globe nominations for this.
Yeah. Deserved. I didn't see this next film. but in 1982 she does Cannery Row.
It's so funny because there's a later film that I know you did see that I watched and I was like, is Debra Winger right for a period piece? She like strikes me as somebody who looks like they've seen a like cell phone before. But
Yeah.
then I watched Cannery Row and I was like, no, I mean, but I also think part of Cannery Row's charm is that it's super artificial. It's all shot on sound stages. It's like the 1940s in like Dick Tracy land, but not as bright, you know? And so
That's
I
like
really
made my brain hurt.
yeah, it's I really liked Cannery Row. I
Okay.
think Nick Nolte's super hot in it. He's like all nerdy and shit, and like
Ooh, I
it,
love
it
that.
it's like loosely based on the John Steinbeck's Cannery Row as well as the sequel to it's like mostly based on the sequel called Sweet Thursday. And it's like not the world's best film, but I enjoyed it for its artificiality and the chemistry they had together.
What the hell is that you got on?
It's costume night. Fauna made me Little Bo Peep. I guess some guys think it's racy or something.
Little Bo Peep?
Well, Doc, was this or a nun? And I ain't gonna be no nun. I don't believe in it.
Apparently Nick Nolte hated her during it and then goes on to star in another movie with her. So I don't truly, and they were also supposedly like lovers at the time. So I think he just might be bitter boots.
Bitter boots. I will say also she in her interviews she talks about like she was young, she had no like experience in Hollywood. She was very, I think, susceptible to like things happening around her, which
Yeah.
we will get to in a little while.
Yeah, she is kind of a serial co-star dater. Not all the time, especially not the next movie we're going
Not
to
the
talk
next
about.
one. So also in 1982, An Officer and a Gentleman. So like Cannery Row kind of flopped. Like it was like a
Yes.
big kind of disaster.
No one liked it. Just me.
Yeah, just Kevin.
Watching it 3 weeks ago on a train.
But then she does An Officer and a Gentleman, or that movie comes out, and it's a huge success. And she talked about how they had like shelved the film. Like they were like, oh, we'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah.
Because again, there was a lot of people who were Richard Gere stars in this opposite her. There were a lot of people that were going to be that role. She also like wasn't the first choice for
No.
her role. So like there's and it was like this kind of it's an emotional not I mean it's not a war movie. It is, but it's not. It's
Right.
like it's basically Richard Gere at training camp to become an officer. And falls in love with, falls in love with a townie girly who wants to marry an officer. And all the drama that is involved in all that. I will say right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is where Up Where We Belong is from. Love that.
Yes. A song that the producer didn't want in the film.
Right.
And then it's become one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
He wanted On the Wings of Love by Jeffrey Osborne, which is a song that ended up coming out a few months later after Up Where We Belong came out, and it peaked at number 29 on the Billboard charts, whereas Up Where We Belong was the number one song on the Billboard charts and then won the Academy Award for Best Song. So,
and it's not only like it's the theme, like the entire score is just like that melody over and over. Banger. This movie made $190 million against a $7 million budget.
yeah.
Just nuts.
It is to date her biggest commercial success. And just to think about the fact that that was 82.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like she's like 4-ish movies in. I think this like movie cements her as, like if Urban Cowboy was, maybe a fluke or like a one-time thing, like this is like a cementing thing of like, she is a leading lady. She can do these like big, heavy, epic drama romances. This movie kind of like shocked me in a lot of ways. I didn't know what I was getting into for this. I really thought it was going to be like a lot of Richard Gere in the Philippines, like dealing with his dad.
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, the movie, like that's the fuel for the movie. He's like fueled by this, I don't know, resentment to his father. And
So
and his mom's suicide. It's a lot.
there's a lot that was removed from the movie too, like as it sat on the shelf, like it went through many different versions. That, the famous scene of him carrying her out of the factory at the end, which I don't think is a spoiler. I feel like everybody has seen that. Originally they didn't want it. Richard Gere thought it was stupid. Taylor Hackford was on the fence about it, but then when they shot it, he saw the extras actually tearing up and realized like, oh, this might really work. But like Debra Winger, part of, her resentment over this movie, and we'll get to it just a little more, but like, was that so much of what she thought was the emotional core of some of the things, especially for her, were cut out.
He took out the story of my family and the fact that my father abused me. And I thought that it was important to know where someone like Paula Pokrivky might come from. The character I played in it, that the reason that she might be seeking love in the way that she was because it was pretty rough at home. And then, it's typical that it would come out.
I think she just was sort of longing for a version of the movie that didn't. And just real quick, just some of the names of the women that Sigourney Weaver and Angelica Houston were all originally both going to play the role. Jennifer Jason Leigh was so locked in to the role. It was going to be her first starring role. And then she left to do Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Rebecca De Mornay, Meg Ryan, Gina Davis all auditioned for this role.
Yeah. I mean, these are all like the girlies of the era. So I would say this is like the first movie that like we hear a lot of like about drama behind the scenes as well. So like there was all that stuff about the actual film and like the content of it. But she also, I think her bigger thing was she says, I didn't have a good time on that set, period.
Yeah.
Producers were assholes. They were coming up and giving her and the other women on set water pills. She was like, I was really being jerked around. And quote, most of those guys are dead now, so I don't feel bad. People like Don Simpson, they were pigs. I'm sorry, may he rest in peace, but he'd go to dailies and bring me a water pill. They treated the girls very badly. I was trying to stand up to it, and it was very hard. I was really young. End quote. She also says, I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It was just a lot. And so I was lashing out. She says like, it's kind of amazing that I got through it, that like,
Yeah.
and not only got through it, but like was critically lauded, awarded, whatever, all the things. But I that comes, I think, and we'll get to this later, someone like Shirley MacLaine or these divas from like previous time, they would have, it's kind of how I feel about like Salma Hayek now. Salma Hayek's vibe right now is always like, as women, we have to like, just like take it on our chin and show them that we can do the thing. And like younger women are like, fuck no, I'm going to talk my shit. And I'm like, not going to let any and it's just like a generational thing, I think. So yeah, she did not have a good time.
I would also like to say, and since the water is passed under the bridge, she's given him an award. She really hated Richard Gere as well.
Yes.
Too. She just didn't think that he was taking it seriously. She did not think he was a good actor. And
she called him a brick wall, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, one of the interviews I found, she was asked, like, why do you, during the sex scene, like, why does it come off so, like, you come off so well? And you feel very emotionally attached to him. And she's like, because I was pissed off. And she's like, and sometimes one emotion can look like another emotion, but like that passion can be transient. If you're an actor, you can use it.
I'd love to be one of those girls they're letting in the flight program. I think it'd be a gas to fly.
So what's stopping you?
You know, all those magazines and what they say, it's just, I don't know, it's not so easy for a girl.
Also, real quick on the sex scene, she did not have an agent at the time. So she negotiated the contract herself. And when the movie was rewritten, she found out that she was going to have to do nude scenes. And she went to the producers that she was having such a bad time with. And she's like, these were not in the original, these were not part of the original deal. And they were like, good luck, Buttercup. You should have had an agent, because in the deal you signed, it did not say that you could not appear nude in the film. And so she had to do it.
Yeah. I will say, I think the movie is very emotional. I genuinely was shocked towards the end. There's like a very aggressive scene. Um, but I think overall, even though there is like a lot of like, I think these movies, like, it's like, oh yeah, there's like a lot of misogyny happening, but like it doesn't feel, I don't know. It feels like of the time, as opposed to like aggressively like we were here to like fuck shit up type vibes. I don't
Yeah.
know. It doesn't the like the whole like there's only two things that come from Arizona: steers and queers. Like I was like, oh okay, that's where this from. And like I guess that's how people fucking talked back then.
Yeah.
Um
You think I'm a sheep? You want to fuck me? Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, it's just like,
yeah.
I don't know. This movie, I know you are a fan. This movie was like aggressively not for me. I think she's good in it, but it just didn't. It was one of those where it's like, oh, okay, like I haven't seen it. I know it's considered classic, and I watched it and I was just like, I guess there was like a reason I was protecting myself from watching it.
I will say, I don't know if it's Louis or Lewis. I think it's Lewis. Lewis Cameron Gossett Jr.
Oh,
He
Louis Gossett Jr.
Yeah, he won best supporting actor at the Oscars, and he was the
Yeah,
first black man to win. So
and
that's kind of incredible.
yeah, and he was the first black man to win Best Supporting. He was the first black man to win since Sidney Poitier won Best Actor. Like, so there had just been nothing. Yeah.
Wild. It was Sidney
And,
Poitier, then nothing, and then
yeah, and then Louis Gossett Jr. And he also said, like, because she was nominated and he was nominated, and he felt bad that Richard Gere was not nominated. But I don't think I
you don't
truly
think.
don't think Debra Winger felt bad that Richard Gere was not nominated.
Yeah, I mean, and like I think Richard Gere's good in it. I think he's hot in it.
Yeah. Oh, he's beautiful. Like, yeah.
Beautiful. He was the '80s twink. Okay,
Yeah, truly.
clock that.
I also think that there is, now that I want to stay on this movie for too much longer, his reputation at the time, and maybe someday we'll actually get to a Richard Gere episode as well. His reputation at the time was not great in the press. Like there was lots of gay rumors as well too, and so I think he was looking for projects that made him look aggressively heterosexual, and I think part of that is what turned me off about this too, is like, but that's information that I shouldn't be pinning on a movie. But when I was watching it, all I could think of was like, yeah, I know you had all those like reporters being like, are you gay? Like, and so
It is aggressively heterosexual. I mean, like the karate of it all. Like
yeah,
it's the girl who can't make it over the thing. It's like,
which, funny enough, she was the fittest person on set.
well,
She
I
said
was like,
the hardest thing to do in the movie was to pretend that she couldn't do that.
well, yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, she's acting down. Like she's like, I can't do
Yeah.
it. I'm like, oh, diva. But I like her in it. I like Deborah in it. And overall, I'm like, oh, this is like a deep '80s like foundational movie for the era. Worth noting that she is uncredited in E.T.
Yes.
Halloween Zombie.
And she's also one of the like 17 voices in the mix for E.T.'s voice.
Right.
So like she like recorded some lines for Skywalker Studio where there or ILM Studio and at Skywalker Ranch where they were recording. And so she's like in the mix for E.T.'s voice, but it's, she's kind of like, it is what it is. Like, is it me?
Yeah.
Is it not? Who cares? Like,
Right. The next year, she kind of like really packs like the iconic trifecta of Debra Winger movies are really early in her career. So Terms of Endearment in 1983 comes out. Again, like another heavy movie, big emotional movie. She plays Shirley MacLaine's daughter. Uh, Another Academy Award nomination. More behind the scenes shenanigans. Apparently, she was so prickly towards Shirley MacLaine. Shirley MacLaine was like, I'm gonna evacuate the dance floor, was gonna leave it. Like producers had to go beg
Yeah.
her to turn back around and come back to set.
I found a really funny interview I was reading when somebody was like, you wrote about Shirley MacLaine in your autobiography. And she's like, no, Shirley MacLaine wrote about me in her
Yeah.
autobiography.
But the rumors are that so Shirley MacLaine said like she would yell at me about like getting on my mark. And like Shirley MacLaine, who was like this elder actress, like an icon of Hollywood, was like, I know how to get to my mark. Like, thank you. And then Debra Winger was like, here's this for a mark, or how's this for a mark? And turns around, picks her dress up, shows her ass, and then farts in her general direction.
Wow.
And so and that's what Shirley wrote in her book. And people asked Debra about this, and Debra said, that sounds like something I would have done. So she's not denying that, like, she, did some things. At this time, I found this article in the New York Times way back when in 1986, and the headline is "Where There's Smoke, There's a Fiery Actress Named Debra Winger."
Amazing.
And they get into all this. And in this interview, she says, "I can't deny that we fought. We're not having lunch together today. We challenged ourselves, and when we got tired of challenging ourselves, we challenged each other. But I think there was always a respect between the two of us." And like, good, sure, fine. This movie rocked me to my core.
Yeah.
Was not ready. I think I had heard like it was like a little bit weepy. Was not ready for the aggressive weepiness that I felt. You know how I feel about children actors. The ones in this movie are very good.
They're so good.
They're so good. The youngest son specifically.
Yeah.
I don't know what they did to that kid to make him perform the way he did. It's incredible.
I even want to include the daughter, who's like barely in it and whatnot, but like,
yeah,
she's so good.
She's so good.
One of the things you were saying earlier that I like mentally put a pin in that I want to pull out now. And I'm going to bring up a movie that we're going to talk maybe a little bit about later, but I don't think we're going to talk a huge amount about. You mentioned presence earlier, and I think that's one of her strongest assets. And one of the things I noticed this time, and maybe this is very much because I'm an editor and these are things that other people maybe don't notice or maybe subconsciously notice. She is such a presence that you can cut away from her at important moments and still feel it. And this is the first time I've ever noticed that you don't watch her die in Terms of Endearment. She turns and she looks at Shirley MacLaine, and then the camera stays on Shirley MacLaine as she watches her die. But you feel it. And I noticed a similar thing in Rachel Getting Married, where at the end of the movie, she's saying goodbye to her family. She's hugging her daughters, and there's like the whole like Rachel let go, and then she goes to hug her son-in-law, and you see her face for like a split second before she goes in the hug. And then he's kind of like obscuring her face a little bit. You kind of see just a tiny bit of it, but you're not really seeing her fully there. But right before she does it, she says, "My son-in-law," and you know she's lost a son. And the look in the split second of her face is like so sad. And that's the power of Debra Winger, is like, you feel it. It like her emotional core radiates off of her. It's insane in a way that a lot of actors wish they could do.
I did not know how they were going to land the scene where she says bye to her kids. I did not know how they were going to do it. And I was like, I was like, how can this be good? But it knocked the wind out of me, to be able, I think we have to like say the writing of this is so good. James Brooks, it's so clean, pristine, beautiful, unprecious, but like still sincere.
Right.
It's so good.
It would be criminal if I did not mention, and there's a really great season of You Must Remember This, maybe the best season of You Must Remember This, which is another podcast. If didn't mention James L. Brooks's frequent collaborator, Polly Platt, who is the production designer on this movie, but also really worked very hard on the script with him and does not receive the credit for it. And I think the proof is in the pudding in the fact that there is a sequel to Terms of Endearment in which Juliette Lewis plays the daughter and Shirley MacLaine is in it and whatnot, but Polly Platt was not involved. I don't remember if she had passed away at that point, but I know that their relationship was no longer working or otherwise, and you can tell. And like that's I love James L. Brooks, and I think he's made some really, really brilliant movies. So I don't want to give all the credit to, but like Polly Platt was there with him through all of his very important movies and really helpful. And so like I on a personal note, like if we're shouting out James L. Brooks, Polly Platt's contribution as the Invisible Woman cannot be overstated.
Yep. I think this movie, so she gets a bunch of nominations for all the things. Again, like she kind of is just like cementing.
Yeah.
She is the it girl for the 80s.
To add salt to the wound, they put both of her and Shirley MacLaine up for Best Actress against each other.
Yeah.
And Shirley MacLaine
wins.
Yep. And in her speech, she refers to my turbulently brilliant co-star,
and she says,
Debra Wingers.
And she says, I deserve this.
I deserve this. That's the first thing she says. Yes. Yeah, you're right.
That's iconic. And who plays Flap in this movie?
Jeff Daniels.
There's a scene where like they're laying in bed. I think they're so cute together. They have such good chemistry.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jeff Daniels, I've never found you hot. And yet right now, everything is working.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
I don't know why his name is Flap, but work be them. Okay, so let's do some more. In 1984, Mike's Murder. I watched this. It's silly Billy Boots down.
Yeah.
Like
once again, same director as Urban Cowboy. So like back and forth, like he can do some great stuff, he can do some bad stuff. The interesting thing about this, the best thing about this is that it was originally written and edited in a way that it would have occurred backwards, like Memento, essentially. And the studio thought that was too confusing. And I think in reversing that decision, it kind of becomes just a generic sort of murder mystery.
I thought it was like a TV movie.
Yeah, feels
the vibe.
That.
It's like she's hooking up with her tennis coach, and then he gets into like drug things, and a co-conspirator guy steals some drugs. The other guy ends up dying because they're bad guys. It's also very like Say No to Drugs 80s vibes. Like that's what that movie is.
She and I think the thing that separates it from being a TV movie is the like Paul Winfield stuff and like the little gay subplot, which like I wish there'd been more of.
That was the one interesting thing.
Yeah.
And like he was like, because Mike was turning tricks to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
That was interesting. Like not just because it's gay stuff, but like it actually, I was like, oh, this isn't just a fucking episode of SVU. Right. The aforementioned Legal Eagles. I didn't remember if I watched it for Redford, but I watched it for this. I don't like this movie. I think
I didn't really either, if it makes you feel better.
And I think Debra Winger is like kind of bad in it. I think the character, like they don't know what this character is, who this is. The tone is goofy.
Debra Winger was famously represented by CAA at the time, very famous, very powerful talent agency. And she walked out on them because of this movie, because everybody else that was cast in the movie also worked for CAA. And she felt that they had pressured them into hiring a full CAA cast. So instead of getting people that were actually right for the roles, they got people who were convenient for the roles. And she did not think that there were that many great performances in this movie either.
Yeah, she says in the same New York Times article, she said, quote, "I'd never done a full-out comedy, but what appealed to me originally about Legal Eagles is hardly seen on screen. I never planned to be in a pyrotechnic movie. It was supposed to be a sophisticated romantic comedy about relationships. Imagine my dismay to find myself jumping in the East River." Yeah, and she says she had a lot of disagreements with the director, Ivan Reitman, about the film's character, or that the character changed. And yeah, I think you can see it all over the movie. It's like, it's not funny, really. It's not thrilling,
no, it's
really.
Not. It's one of those things where people are always like, yeah, it's a comedy. I was like, where are the jokes? Like, come on.
Where are the jokes? Where are the jokes?
But I will say she looks very cute in some of her outfits when she's got like the little bob and the like very dressy court outfits. I'm like, yeah, she looks cute.
Yeah.
With respect to this matter of change of venue, does defense wish to engage in oral argument?
Yes,
we don't,
we
Your
do.
Honor.
Yes, we do.
Which is it?
No, we don't.
Of course.
No, we don't.
We move for a change of venue due to unreasonable and misleading exposure in the press, Your Honor.
I object.
You object to your own co-counsel's motion?
I do, yes.
In 1987, she comes out in Black Widow, which is a crazy movie. That's camp, mama. It is.
Black Widow is one of the few movies where I think somebody like fully outacts her, and I think Teresa Russell
Eats her up. Okay?
Yeah, she's just eating her lunch. She's eating everything.
It's like Teresa Russell understood the assignment.
Yeah.
She's like playing for the gods. And Debra Winger is like, this is an earthy, grounded, realistic.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. This woman was putting on wigs and murdering her husbands. Like, this is silly Billy Boots.
The movie is so much more fun in the first half when it's about Teresa Russell, and so much less fun when it's about Debra Winger. And it only really comes alive for a very brief moment in the second half when Teresa Russell kisses her. It's the only like really good. It's like, oh, more of this.
Yeah. Minor film, honestly, but it is campy. I didn't watch this next movie, Made in Heaven, also in 1987.
I did because it's insane.
Okay.
She does this movie at this point because of who she's with, and we'll get to that when we talk about her relationships at the end of this episode, or at the end of the rewind. But I will say, Made in Heaven is one of those movies that sort of has to be seen to be believed. It's about a man who dies, goes to heaven, falls in love with a woman while he's in heaven.
Sure.
But she's a soul who's never been to Earth. So she goes down to Earth, and he makes a deal with maybe an angel, maybe God, a man who Debra Winger is playing. So Debra Winger's playing a man.
Mike. Got it.
Just totally giving off like early trans vibes.
Yeah.
Just using that lower register, like that rasp and whatnot. And makes a deal that the guy can go back to Earth, and he has until the age of 30 to re-find her and fall in love with her, or else they'll forget each other completely. It's completely deranged. It's one of my it's reaching, Your Honor, and one of my least favorite versions of heaven I've ever seen in a movie. But it sort of has to be seen to be believed, and also just her as this genderless male, like mask presenting character is amazing.
Emmett Humbird, Mike, glad to meet you. Not exactly what you expected, am I?
Hi, Emmett.
Hey, Lisa, how's your painting coming?
When you come to dinner, I'll show you.
Well, when you invite me, I'll come.
I just invited you.
Yeah, well, I just came to ask Mike if you had any questions.
Now that the boys stopped crying and settled in, you show up, eh, Emmett?
Well, you did a much better job than I could have done, Lisa.
Incredible. In 1988, she was Betrayed. I did watch this. This movie really tried it. And again, she's playing kind of like this. Well, she's an FBI agent, but her undercover gigorama is like a farmer. And the vibe is that like there are Nazi racist people out here killing Jews. And so she's going undercover to like fall in love with a farmer and find out his fucking shit to see, if he's a bad guy.
Right.
This movie feels like they had the script like was one thing, and then the studio said, okay, she does have to fuck him though. And we need like all of the what I'm sure was interesting like political nuance and thrilling stuff is gone in favor of like her falling in love with the Nazi, and also like having a loving relationship with his kids and like making sure that like the kids were okay. It's like, ugh, boring.
I think you've kind of hit it right, but I think the most interesting thing about Betrayed is the fact that it's directed by Costa Gavras, who is an incredibly liberal filmmaker, made one of the best, like Z is one of the best movies you will ever see. So definitely watch Z. But written by Joe Esterhaus, who did like Basic Instinct and Showgirls, and which I like. I like Showgirls, and I like Basic Instinct, but Joe Esterhaus is very conservative, and so I think what you're seeing is like conflicting, like Costa Gavras is like, I'm making a really like taut political thriller that has a lot to say, and Joe Esterhaus is like, what if there's some racists who also hate Nazis?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like like they're people too, and that to me, that's the big clash that's going on. I don't think
Nazis can fall in love too, okay?
Right. I don't think Betrayed is a good movie. I agree with
No.
you. And I think also a lot of critics went after it because there's a very upsetting scene where they like make her participate in the hunting of a black man.
Yes.
And the movie just fully never recovers from that. Because
Yeah,
once that
no.
happens, you as an audience are so turned off by the inhumanity of it.
I was like, oh, this is the hunting game. Like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie is insane. And also, like, being a woman in the 80s, oh my God. Like, so the character, she's having to deal with all this shit, like, in her undercover world. But then also, her boss at the FBI is like, we could have been in love.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
why aren't you fucking me instead?
But
And
there's
it's like,
but there's so much like, but that also happens in Black Widow. Like her boss is
Yeah.
like kind of feeling her up, like and the after hours.
aggressively.
And I was, so you're right. It's like being a woman in the 80s, like, and I'm sure, like, I'm not saying it doesn't happen now, but just like the flagrancy in which it just seemed very commonplace.
But also, like, it's not even part of the movie. Like, it's not,
Right.
like, nothing in the plot is suggesting that, like, she's having workplace difficulties that are contributing to her story. It's just her hanging out, doing her job, and then having to be like, get your hands off my tits, dude.
Right.
No, I don't want to fuck you, guy. And like,
Yeah.
back to our main story. It's like, what the fuck?
Meanwhile, back in the actual plot.
Meanwhile, back with the Nazis. Okay. I didn't watch some of these. I didn't watch Everybody Wins. I don't know if anything worth mentioning there.
That is the other Nick Nolte movie, and no, I did not like it. That's
Okay.
it.
I did watch her other 1990 film, The Sheltering Sky.
Yeah.
This is the movie that I'm like, this is why people shit.
Yeah.
This is like aggressively 90s movie where it's like foreign land, big like thoughts and feelings about, love.
Yeah. I'm not going to defend it because I also didn't like it, but I would willingly watch it if it was shown in a theater because I think it's maybe one of the most beautiful looking films I've ever seen. I thought it was like really gorgeous looking, but I often feel this way about Bertolucci movies where like,
I was gonna say Bertolucci.
yeah, it was like they're beautiful and they feel kind of hollow. This is a very famous book, and it was said it was a completely unadaptable book. And I don't necessarily believe in anything being unadaptable, but it's apparently a very close sort of translation of the book. And I think the unadaptability comes from not actually adapting something to a film medium. And so I think that's maybe where it falls apart. Also, the man who wrote this movie, who is the like older man in the movie, who wrote the book that it's based on, and also does the weird little bits of voiceover that happen at the beginning.
The framing is weird.
He wrote this. It's like very loosely based on him and his wife, but it's also a very heterosexual version of them because they were also both having homosexual affairs as well.
Goodness.
And a lot of people have written about the book that like the end part where she like goes into the desert and falls in love with all these Muslim men and whatnot, was kind of a homosexual fantasy about wanting to fall
With
in
the
love
other.
with exactly. One thing I will say about this is she's very smart, and by this I mean Debra Winger, and there is a very famously upsetting scene in the novel where one of the men that she falls in with brutally rapes her and then sort of passes her around to the other men. And she went to Bertolucci and she's like, this religion reveres women, and I just don't see it happening, and I don't understand why it would happen. And Bertolucci, who is very notoriously hard-headed, was like, you're right. And they don't include it in the movie.
One thing I want to mention, John Malkovich goes to a sex worker in the desert.
Yeah, so yeah.
Am I wrong? She reveals her breasts. They're beautiful. and then she unzips his pants,
Uh-huh.
and then she gently places one breast inside his unzipped pants to somehow suggest that like her nipple that is now inside of his unzipped pants is like erotic and sexy and hot or whatever. That happened, right?
It did. Yeah, that's how straight people do it. I know you don't have a ton of
Oh,
experience, yeah, but
yeah.
but
I
have
didn't know
had
what
before,
they
and
did.
that's exactly
I
how it
didn't
went.
know what you did with the girl's boobies. So
Yeah, that's it exactly. No, I just as confused as you were. Just as like I was like, what are we doing?
yeah. Sheltering Sky. Unless you're like a boring white person, I would not watch it.
Yeah.
92 Leap of Faith. I watched that movie. That was weird.
I saw that movie a lot as a kid, and like, listen, I don't think it's a huge stepping stone in her career, but I think her and Steve Martin's chemistry is very good, and I love that she is not a love interest for
Yeah.
him.
The Lord is speaking to me right now.
Better be good.
Now just relax. Cherry hat, section 4, row F.
You, sir, in the brown jacket. I feel a burden you're carrying.
Who, me?
Yes, sir. Now stand up and tell me if I'm hearing the Lord right. You're having a problem with your neighbor, am I right?
I sure am.
Building a fence, gonna harm your kids, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, the Lord tells me the best way to get rid of an enemy is you make him your friend. You talk to him and serve him up your best fried chicken. Because yours is the best in the county, ain't it, ma'am?
You know it is.
Well, boy, I'd love to get me some of that. Now come on up and thank the Lord for his saving.
Section 5, row A is the glitter jeans.
Remember glitter jeans?
Sister, suffering deeply.
The next year, she's in a crazy movie called Wilder and Napalm. This movie was so, I mean, I don't know what's happening in her life right now, but like she's so clear like I am done being the it girl. I want to
Yeah.
be a character weirdo actress. Wilder Napalm is about two brothers who have fire starter powers.
Yeah, they're both pyrokinetic.
Yes, and she is like a pyro. What's that called? Like when you love fire.
Pyromaniac, but not only is she a pyromaniac, she's also a nymphomaniac.
Yes, she's always wanted to fuck. And at first I thought I was like, oh, this movie's like a dumb boy movie, and it is, but also it is just a freak movie. And
Yeah.
I ended up liking it as it was like the credits rolling. I was like, huh, that is more interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Um,
I think this falls into the like Made in Heaven category where like it has to sort of be seen to be believed. I had never even heard of this movie, and then I was like, this whole thing. My only thing is they spend so much on that like really insane clown makeup for Dennis Quaid, and he only appears in it like twice. I needed more. I needed more crazy clown makeup.
Well, I was like, is this movie about like a murdering? Like this
I
is so
know.
scary. He looks crazy, and I will say Dennis Quaid turns in a very good performance. Like
Yes. Oh, I said at the time that I watched it, it's a shame that he turned out to be such a shit because
Yes.
nobody played convincingly horny while also being that attractive in the 80s like Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. RIP to us liking him.
Written by Vince Gilligan, creator of Breaking Bad.
There you go. In 1993, she does A Dangerous Woman, and Shadowlands.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like, she does these two films. They're both big in different ways. I don't know why I'm killing this chapstick, putting it down. A Dangerous Woman was really like recognized, for a bunch of like awards, not an Oscar,
Yeah.
but like it was talked about a lot because she's playing this this woman, and they don't know what's wrong with her, but she's not like everybody else.
Yeah.
And she's like kind of special needs. Like she's not quite, I mean, she's not Down syndrome, but she is just like very, yeah, I mean, the best thing, I mean, like Love on the Spectrum vibes, just like does not operate the way everyone else does.
But the implication is even more than that. Like I without saying something that like comes off too rude, I think special needs is sort of where the movie's implying, like even more so than that, because like It's rough. It's
Yeah,
really
I'm gonna say,
bad.
like, right off the bat, like, I did not like this movie. I
No.
think, like, what it was aiming for, it's a classic, like, trying to shock, and this it is based on a novel, and it's basically about this woman who she's in a small town, and she lives with her aunt, after her parents have died, and, her trying to live there, she works at a
Dry
dry
cleaners.
cleaning dry cleaners. She has friends there, but she is repeatedly taken advantage of and made the scapegoat by not good people. There is a mystery man who blows into town, ends up fucking her and her aunt. Um, David Strathairn is hot here, as he
Yeah.
always is.
I did see that you were like not like he was. I actually think this is a rare David Strathairn bad performance, but
You think?
I don't think he's given anything. So like I think
Yeah, it's a
I don't
small
want to blame
role.
him. Exactly, it's a small role. He's very like hitting that one note over and over again.
I just think like I I I don't understand, and maybe this is us in our 2025 glasses, but, like, I don't even think Debra Winger is giving a good performance here. Like,
I
everyone was
agree.
like, I think people were, like, popping off because she was playing this, you know,
Yeah.
special needs woman, and she has kind of, like, this speech affectation that she's doing, shifting eyes a lot and,
Right.
like, I don't wanna say yelling, but, like, kind of shouting a lot,
Right.
and
Kind of like bobbing and weaving a little bit when she walks and
yeah, and I'm like,
yeah.
"Okay." And there's a lot here, and I don't think it's good. Yeah. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Shadowlands, but she was nominated for an Oscar for this movie. I know it's one of
Yes.
her one of her final big movies. Gavin, what do we know about Shadowlands?
Shadowlands is great. Shadowlands is a movie about C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, and this woman who he met sort of later in life, who really ended up challenging him, and a lot of it is because he was a very Christian man, but also like sort of torn about his faith and whatnot. She's a very Jewish woman. She's like loud and opinionated, and he just like slowly begins to realize that he's in love with her. And of course, by the time that he realizes that she gets diagnosed with a terminal illness, and it's sort of like him having to come to terms with being in love with this woman and marrying this woman who he knows has like a ticking clock, and also his relationship with her son, which in real life she had two sons, but for the for simplifying versions, they make it into one son. And I really liked it. I thought Anthony Hopkins was really great. She really liked working with Anthony Hopkins, but he doesn't rehearse. He doesn't like to rehearse with people. And so she had to rehearse with Richard Attenborough, who directed the movie and whatnot, like really because she like loves a lot of rehearsal to get to like
Yeah.
the meat of the character. And so there were just very different acting styles, but I think that kind of lends to their like differences as people in the movie. Um,
Yeah.
I do think
I
that there's some of it that's a little too like crazy, love.
Crazy
Especially since
Christy.
she's a Jewish character. Like,
Yeah.
but I think she's pretty amazing in it.
Well, Jewish, but not Jewish, if you can follow that. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I was brought up to be a good atheist.
An atheist?
Don't sound so shocked.
I'm not. I was an atheist once.
You? So we're both lapsed atheists?
Yes, but I was never a communist.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not, Mrs. Griffin?
Well, I mean, back in '38, it seemed to me there was only two choices. Either you were a fascist and you conquered the world, or you were a communist and you saved it.
Around this time, she was cast in A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
And she dropped out and was replaced by Gina Davis. It was reported that Ms. Debbie Wingy said, "I'm not going to be fucking working with Madonna."
Yeah. Her exact quote was, she said to Penny Marshall, "If you cast Madonna, this is an Elvis movie."
And well, I mean, we love A League of Their Own.
Yeah.
But like, again, a grande dame, a dame.
It's funny too. I guess Madonna then later after that, knowing how Debra Winger felt about her, Madonna is a big fan of the novel Sheltering Sky, so much so that she like made people call her by the character's name, the wife character. Yes, Kit Morsby. She had friends call her Kit Morsby, and she told her friends, "I don't want you to call me that anymore because I don't want to be associated with Debra Winger."
Wow. Okay, that's equally as crazy. They're both crazy. 1985 is her last kind of like before she allegedly quits Hollywood and acting. She does Forget Paris with Billy Crystal. I had never heard of this movie before in my life.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
And I thought it was quite charming. I was like, oh my god, like it's a little wannabe his all of his like movies about New York and like When Harry Met Sally and like
yes,
it's there. I don't know. I bought it though. I was not mad at it.
Oh, no, and I'm not mad at it either. I think there's some structural problems. I think for me, like, because it's all these different couples telling their story to a couple that's getting married, and I think by the time it gets to like the third couple telling the story, I'm like, we don't need this. Like, just go back to like Julie Kavner. I was having fun with her. Like, we don't need another couple to be introduced. And also, and I did see this in your Letterboxd review, and I do occasionally peep your Letterboxd. That you were like, oh, the chemistry. I think what's actually kind of nice about this movie is I don't think there is easy chemistry between them. I think there's a lot of having to work for that chemistry, but I think that's true of some couples. I think, and like, that's why it's so off and on for them, because they really have to like there are people that want to be together and don't have it easy when it comes to how they match up.
Yeah, I think like what I wrote was that Billy Crystal is so it's crazy how he's able to like turn on this magnetism.
Yeah.
He's
and I do think that's correct. Yeah.
He's not like the traditional like handsome leading man, but he is so intelligent, and the way he's able to speak these really great lines when they're in Paris and falling in love, and they have these big fights, and like the reconciliations are always so beautiful and fun.
And like, listen, he co-wrote the movie and he directed it, and I think as somebody that's playing that all those different hats, I think he's really successful at it.
I think it's a fun watch, and I think if you are a fan of When Harry Met Sally and all those types of movies, like this should be in the rotation
and she's so funny in it too.
Yeah, the pigeon in her hair.
Yes, I forgot.
I don't know how they did that, but it was very good.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Does this ticket have to be for this
That
afternoon?
was prepared for any time you want to use it. Did you want to change it?
Well, I was just thinking, it's so silly. I've never been to Paris, and maybe I should do some sightseeing.
Sightseeing? In Paris? What a bizarre notion.
What do you got here?
What do we got here?
Yeah. You got anything?
We got some stuff.
Yeah, like what kind of stuff?
Would you like to see the Eiffel Tower?
That's here?
So in 1995, she's like, I quit. I don't want to do it anymore. She said of that time, I wanted out for years. I got sick of hearing myself say I wanted to quit. She just like, I think she says often, I hated being a celebrity. Like being the celebrity aspect of it sucks. I didn't want to do it. And so she like decides to stop for a little bit. People were asked, I think it is overblown when people say that she like went away, quit Hollywood. She wasn't gone for that long. And also she does these interviews where she's like, listen, I was like raising kids. I was teaching at Harvard. I was, doing indies here and there.
She was doing theater as well too.
Yeah,
so like, it's not like she left acting altogether.
Right. I think she was just like, I don't want to deal with this bullshit anymore. With men.
And it was 5 years before I quit. And I talked about it for 5 years, about quitting. And it took me that long to really believe that I wasn't addicted and that my life would be good. Because it's scary, especially if you started early and if you were successful young.
In 2001, she came back for Big Bad Love, which was written and directed by her husband at the time.
Yeah, Arliss Howard, who she met while doing Wilder Napalm.
Which she she happens to do sometimes.
Yeah, yeah.
In 2002, Rosanna Arquette releases a whole ass documentary called Searching for Debra Winger. And like again, Debra Winger's like, I'm around. What's the tea?
Right. And she like there's like a whole ass phone call in the movie where she's like, I felt like this was a burden on me, and then I guess in a way you've kind of like released me, but like she's clearly uncomfortable with the idea that like the documentary would be named after her.
I think this became the safe way, not safe in a bad way, safe in a good way, to keep questioning and keep working for you. So you're using me. And it's okay. I suddenly felt it's the healthiest way I've been used.
Because the documentary itself is about aging in Hollywood, and it's sort of about the lack of an ability to get a good role. And it's so funny because there's literally, I think one of the weaknesses of the movie, even though it's really good content, is towards the end of the movie, there's like a whole almost 15-minute interview with Jane Fonda, which is good. It's good content, but it feels like you're ceding too much time to Fonda for a documentary called Searching for Debra Winger and whatnot.
Right.
But
they were like, we got Fonda, we got to use it.
Right, exactly. Fun thing though, so Searching for Debra Winger has not been available for a very long time. You can find it on like used DVDs or whatnot. Or if you just search Searching for Debra Winger on YouTube, it has been put up on YouTube about 4 years ago by last week's guest, Kevin Tudor, for free, because that man is a saint.
And he's doing God's work. We love you, Kevin. I'm going to be very honest. The latter work of Miss Winger, I did not get to a lot of it. But we're going to speed through this. So she comes back. Or whatever. After this documentary. She's in Radio, which is like a sports drama that's very sappy. With Cuba
it's not
Gooding
good.
Jr. No. Eulogy, I did not watch this.
Also not good.
She's in Rachel Getting Married, which we talk about a lot in our Anne Hathaway episode.
Yeah, and I love it, and I think her performance is really great too.
Incredible. Something called Lola Versus, starring Greta Gerwig, from the folks that brought us 500 Days of Summer.
Thumbs down.
That sounds like a fake movie.
Yeah. It's
I don't
the
know
worst people you'll ever meet in a movie.
I thought you said worst beepy.
It's the worst BB you'll ever have, whatever that means.
Boy Choir, which I don't like that title. And also...
She's barely in it.
Okay, good. But like, why is Kathy Bates also in this? Why didn't I not catch this in our Kathy Bates episode? And then The Lovers in 2017, which I think was like a straight to Netflix or Amazon Prime thing.
And maybe it was, I don't know. I had never even heard of it, and I watched it and I ended up really liking it. So
and then Kajillionaire in 2020, which I definitely did see. Kooky Bookie movie by Miranda July. I would say like she's mostly doing like TV stuff now.
Yeah, and she's done some like good TV. She did Sometimes in April, which is a movie about the Rwandan genocide, and she's not a huge role in it, but like when we talk about her politics in a moment, you will definitely understand why. She was in this movie called Dawn Anna that was also directed by her husband Arliss Howard, and I'm sure when it came out, it was very, very heavily advertised as a Columbine movie. But if you do not know that, watching it now, because I watched it, literally, it's like an hour movie about a woman who has like a horrible brain illness and has to relearn a lot of stuff, even though she's raising a family alone. And then literally like the last 20 minutes, she's like dropping her daughter off at school, and like you see the back of one of her friend's jackets that says like Columbine, and it becomes a Columbine movie. And that's what this woman was famous for. Is she did like a speech tour afterwards about ending gun violence and whatnot. This earns her an Emmy, but it's wild. It almost feels like the Robert Pattinson Remember Me moment where he pulls out and reveals it's 9/11.
Yeah.
And she did the Wizard of Oz in concert, Dreams Come True, with Jewel and whatnot. She got to play the Wicked Witch, and she's a lot of fun in that. That you can find that on YouTube.
She was in The Ranch, the Netflix show with Ashton Kutcher. Sure, whatever.
Yeah. Also, Danny Masterson, who I believe they had to like write out of because
Jesus.
yeah.
Yes. But yeah, and I saw an interview with her. She was being like, great, I love streaming services, like fuck studios. Like I
Yeah.
don't care. So she clearly is into streaming and other ways to make movies. And I don't think she's interested at all in making, movies the traditional way anymore. Anyway. Um, so yeah, I mentioned earlier during her hiatus, she was teaching a little bit at Harvard. She was a teaching fellow there. In 2008, she wrote her personal recollections in Undiscovered.
Yes.
Um,
Her not autobiography.
right. As far as like her politics and stuff, um, I'm just going to read what it says here. She was shown her support for reconciliation between Arabs and Jews in Israel. She visited the bilingual hand-in-hand schools, where in 2008, she said she would dedicate the next bit of my life to these schools. Which, again, I wish she would have just said, I came to Israel when I was a young person.
Right.
And, saw some horrible things, did some horrible things, and I, want to dedicate. Like, there's a way to, like, reconcile this.
And since then, she has become a big anti-Zionist, and she's been to a lot of pro-Palestine protests. She's even been arrested. In fact, I know some, not to name anybody, but like I know some people that basically like a rite of passage is like, have you been arrested with Debra Winger? And so like that's
yes.
And I did not know that until very recently that she was this politically active.
Yeah, so she signed the Film Workers for Palestine boycott pledge in September 2025.
Hey, that's this month. Yeah,
that just happened. She said in an interview, I have a debt for what I grew up with and believed on what the state of Israel has done and what they haven't done and how they're conflating Judaism with Zionism. Yeah. So pop off, diva, free Palestine. She famously in the 80s dated the governor of Nebraska, Bob Kerrey. That's funny.
She had to be snuck in and out of the governor's mansion.
That's very funny. She dated, like you mentioned, Nick Nolte when they met on Cannery Row.
Yeah.
She was married to Timothy Hutton from 1986 to 1990.
He's the lead in Made in Heaven, which is why she's plays a man in it.
Naturally. They had a son together, Noah. And she married Arliss Howard, like you mentioned, who they met on Wilder Napalm. They have a son known as Babe.
Yeah,
Gideon Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I love that. And she's also the stepmother to Sam Howard, who is Arliss Howard's son from a previous marriage. It's funny too because I guess her and Timothy Hutton like kind of had. I don't know the full details of it, but like they had sort of a tempestuous divorce. But since then, she said they become really good friends. They're in each other's lives, and I think they even said like last Thanksgiving, Timothy Hutton and his family like came and had Thanksgiving with Arliss Howard and her and their family. So they had like a blended. Yeah.
I love that. Well, they're like, listen, we're all icons of Hollywood. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get along. But that kind of like catches us all up on Debbie Wingy. Gavin, why don't we get into our picks?
Absolutely. Why don't we start with the stuff that sucks? I'll just put it as bluntly as Debra Winger herself would say.
Okay, Gavin, I did the rewind, so why don't you go first? What's your 1-star review?
Oh, I cannot think of a worse film. I can think of some bad ones, and there's definitely some bad ones in here, but I cannot think of a worse film than A Dangerous Woman from 1983. I was livid while watching this movie. As you mentioned before, she plays Martha Horgan. She is living with some mental disability. She lives in this town where everybody's sort of taking advantage of her. She works at a dry cleaner that she's immediately fired from because she first, it would be disingenuous of me to say that like this guy wasn't looking for a reason to fire her, because basically this guy's trying to rip somebody off and she's like, no, I have to tell the truth. And because of that, he then is like, well, you've also been stealing, when it turns out her best friend's boyfriend, who is played by David Strathairn, is actually the one
been
stealing.
stealing.
But he's able to blame her because people just assume the worst because of her differences.
Also, they tell us like in a quick line, the guy who owns this place isn't even paying her. Like
Right.
the salary is not coming from him at all. He just doesn't want her around.
Right. She's living with her aunt, played by Barbara Hershey, who is both somehow incredibly underused and also not good in this movie. So it's kind of a twofer for her. Like you said, a drifter sort of wanders into town, played by Gabriel Byrne. He seduces both her and her aunt. And she ends up killing David Strathairn in like a moment of panic, not even realizing what she's done, which once again, this movie is like really inconsistent in her character in terms of like what she understands and what she does not. Turns out Gabriel Byrne impregnated her. She then has to, people say that like, oh, well, if you tell people straight David Strathairn raped you, then, you'll get out. And she refuses to do so. And she wants to have the baby and let the aunt raise the child. This movie is gross. This movie is, or especially as somebody who grew up with a sister who has mental disabilities, I don't want to say I was offended on her behalf, but I was just offended like that this movie would present this woman in this way. It's like a real, like you said, it's like really trying very hard to like say something, but it feels like one of those gross award grabby movies where it's like, look at this person play this woman and look how awful people treat her and how society is against her. I'm sorry. I know how society is against her. I live in that society. Like, I don't need this like fictional account where like everybody's a mustache twirling villain to like point out to me the shitty ways in which people take advantage of people who are different than them. Like it's all baked in. Like that's part of being an American. I don't need this like fictional version of that. On top of that, I agree. I think Debra Winger's actually actively bad in this movie. I think she's like taking every tick, every idea that she can think of as like, what would this person do? How would they walk and whatnot? And like amplifying it to 1,000. And it's embarrassing. It reminded me of the like Simple Jack thing from Tropic Thunder, where it's
100%.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I was just very frustrated with this movie. I don't think it's good. I don't think people should watch it. There's better representation than this out there. On top of all of that, by the way, directed by Stephen Gyllenhaal, written by Naomi Forner, his wife, and
the kids are in it.
Yep, cameos by both Jake and Maggie Gyllenhaal, because that's what I guess what they were doing. It's a gross soap opera, a terrible fantasy, and yeah, I hated every second of it.
Do you think I took money? It wasn't me that took money. Getzo did. I saw him. He took it out of the cash drawer. Before you got here this morning, I saw him. I did. I was going to tell Bertie. She should know because she counted it. How much was gone, Bertie? How much did he take, Bertie? I saw him, so count it.
Louis, what's your 1-star review?
Well, Gavin, not to beat a dead horse, but this is also my 1-star review.
I thought it might be. I don't think there's a worse, like, it's insult to injury because not only is it a bad movie, but there might be something forgivable in it if she could turn a performance that is at least interesting or nuanced or deep, brings something to the table, adds to the conversation, and it fails on every single one of those fronts.
Yeah, it's like she said, okay, I have glasses, and that's crazy.
I know, isn't that wild?
Couple quick things, like we don't have to stay on this for too long, but like number one, Laurie Metcalf giving the performance that she gives in Desperate Housewives when she's like shooting up.
That's the one good thing, and the movie fails on fulfilling that promise because the movie literally starts with Laurie Metcalf, who's the minorest of minor characters in this movie, crashing through a front porch, breaking into Barbara Hershey's house and shooting it up because she's in love with the politician that Barbara Hershey has been seeing.
Yes. And then also, I just have to say, there is perhaps an interesting thing to explore with, people with mental disabilities. I've been watching a lot of Love on the Spectrum, and I do think there is a conversation about like these adults and wanting to have intimacy and sexual like relation, and how do we navigate that? How do we how do we make sure people know what they're doing and like consent and all those things? There is a conversation there to be had.
Yeah.
This fucking movie.
Yeah,
This fucking movie. I believe the last line of the movie before they cut to black is, some people will say he raped her, but others say they won't. And that's it. And I'm like, this is the discourse?
Yeah.
Like, this man who literally, the tone is so crazy because he is showing her kindness,
Yes.
but also he is a drunk asshole, has sex with her, impregnates her, then is a drunk asshole and fucks her aunt. And there is this no care here about
Right.
like what that actually means. And I think that line feels like somebody at the studio was like, we've got to say, oh yeah, this might have been rape, but like also maybe not.
Right.
Because it's such a throwaway thing. Like, no, they didn't think like in writing this movie, like, hey, it's kind of fucked up that we have like, an adult man like
Right.
seducing and like, listen, she's an old woman. She's like, this does feel good and I do want to have sex, but like,
Right. But there is no situation in which Gabriel Byrne's character, Colin Mackey, is not taking advantage of her because he also is aware that he's doing it. Like
Yes.
he is
Yes.
like simplifying, like you said, he is being nice to her, but he's like simplifying the things he's saying because he knows he can get his way because
Yes.
this is a woman who is susceptible to people being nice to her and assuming that people have the best intentions.
Even it's the same thing, I think it comes down to this, like, there are minors who would say, I wanted to have sexual relationships, but it doesn't matter because they cannot give consent.
Yes.
Even though I think this character wanted to have sex, she does not have the capacity, at least in that relationship with him, in the situation where he is actively manipulating her,
Yeah.
saying the right things to get what he wants, and he fully knows that he's not like interested in her in a romantic way, in an actual genuine way. He is manipulating her. And it's a gross movie. There's bad acting, and yeah, it's tough. And it's what's even more tough is, like we said, she got a lot of like notices and like
Yeah.
award nominations from like a bunch of Film Critics Society things, which is wild.
But I will say, like, if I could put a neon sign above you with an arrow that just says correct, I would,
That's
because I think everything that you just said is so good. Cannot believe nominated for a fucking Golden Globe. Not that the Golden Globes are real, but like,
Yeah. What are other movies that closer to the bottom of the barrel for you?
I don't think we even really talked about it, but there's a movie called Eulogy that she did in 2004. It is supposedly a comedy, nary a laugh to be found in this movie, and she plays one of those like she's supposed to be type A and she's really hard to get along with. It's about a family that like comes back for their dad's funeral and turns out he was a fucking loser, but everybody in the family's like kind of a jerk anyways. But her whole plot line too is that her younger sister, played by Kelly Preston, R.I.P., like is a lesbian and brings Famke Janssen home with her, and she's like really homophobic to her. And then you find out like later in the movie that she had like a homosexual dalliance with a Glenn Headley when she was younger. Also R.I.P. Fucking love Glenn Headley. And she like starts this relationship with her at possibly the cost of her like marriage with her husband, who I think has one line, and her children who have no lines in the movie. It's it's a fucking mess. And like Hank Azaria's in it playing Zooey Deschanel's father. Explain to me the genetics of that. And also I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Ray Romano is also their brother. It's bad. It's just bad all around. No jokes to be had in this movie. Yeah, hate it.
It sounds like the like somehow worse version of already a bad movie, the Tina Fey, like Jane Fonda
Yes.
funeral movie.
The movie about
This Is Where I Leave You.
This Is Where I Leave You. It is. It's actually, yeah. And to make it like even worse, that like at least This Is Where I Leave You has like the actual like Jewish thing of Shiva to like hang it on. This movie doesn't have, because it's like they're Christian but they're not. So like I was just like, this.
It's like, why are we
fucking
hanging out
sucks.
here, guys?
Yeah. All of you stop.
I have to say that I thought Betrayed's pretty bad.
Yeah, Betrayed is bad.
Legal Eagles, I wish it was more fun. It's just like, why what? Mike's Murder is boring.
Yeah, truly just boring.
So yeah. And also, I mean, if I'm gonna like shit on like a big movie like Sheltering Sky, I'm like
Yeah. I also really don't like Kajillionaire. I still don't really remember why we've definitely talked about it, because I remember us both kind of like not being impressed with Evan Rachel Wood's performance in the movie.
Yeah,
but
I got a lot of like notices, but I was like, why?
Yeah, but it's one of those like Miranda July has this like occasional and I don't mean to rag on her, because there's Miranda July stuff that I do like, but she has this occasional like misanthropic vision of people, like just assumes the worst. And she plays this like con artist who is married to another con artist, and they're just terrible people. And it's one of those like, if I want to spend an hour and a half with terrible people, I visit my extended family. It doesn't work for me. But that being said, why don't we exercise the negative and move into the positive? Why don't we move into our 5-star reviews?
Gavin, what do you got? What is your 5-star review?
Is this going to be a twofer? I think it has been, and always shall be, 1983's Terms of Endearment. Terms of Endearment fucking rocks. It really, really does. And you wouldn't think it would, because it does feel kind of soapy in a way, because it's really about a mother who is like maybe a little too obsessed with her own daughter, maybe a little too conservative when it comes to her daughter, and a daughter who is like maybe clashing with that mom because she has always wanted that freedom, and she's always wanted to be a bit more liberal than her mother. And this generational clash, I always forget that so much time passes in the first hour, and it's a like over 2-hour movie, not by much. It's like 2:10 or 2:13 or something like that. But the first hour literally encompasses 15 years or more, because it literally starts with Debra Winger as a baby. Yeah.
Yes.
But like in terms of the main plot, like 15 years go by and you don't even realize it till she's like on the phone, where she's like, Jack Nicholson's been her neighbor for 8 years and whatnot. And you're just like, holy shit, so much is like sped through.
They edited the shit out of that movie.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like tight.
It's so tight. It's paced so well. And she has frequent arguments with her mother. Her mother doesn't even go to her wedding because she does not like Jeff Daniels' character. She thinks she's marrying below her class and whatnot. And
he's a teacher.
and it's moving back and forth between these two characters. Shirley MacLaine has this kind of like lonely, but also like this kind of high-minded like society woman's life. There's these suitors who are constantly around her. One of them's played by Danny DeVito
for no reason.
So good. He's so good in his very minor role. Our next door neighbor is Jack Nicholson. He's a retired astronaut, and he's the kind of man that absolutely repulses her. He like pushes her buttons just to get a rise out of her, but secretly that's what she fucking wants. She's like wants that freedom that she has been denying herself. On the reverse of that, you have Debra Winger's character, who is going through her marriage and kind of willing to follow her husband around, knocking out children left and right. She has 2 sons and a daughter, her husband starts cheating on her, and she realizes that like maybe there's something more that she's been missing in her life. And wouldn't you know it, just as that happens, she is diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer that the outlook is just not good. And so you spend the last bit of this movie with her coming to terms with her rocky relationship with her mother, also coming to terms with her rocky relationship with her own children and her husband, who has been taking her for granted as she is literally dying. I mean, she like gives up everything for her husband. She moves a bunch of times and figures out at one point that the last time they moved was literally so he could follow his mistress elsewhere. All that to be
To
said,
Nebraska, I believe.
Yep, to Nebraska, perfect. And all this to say, you know, she has a bunch of final scenes with people, and ends up dying. And you know, the story is life goes on because life has to go on. People die, and the world continues to spin for everybody else that is not the person that has passed away. I think you mentioned earlier the scene between her sons is maybe one of the most emotionally resonant and satisfying emotional scenes ever put to film. Because she like tells her son, who is at that age where like you're kind of like, fuck you, parents, like,
Yeah.
or at least heading that way, and also has resentment over the fact that like there is this strife at home between her parents. Like she's like, I know you love me, and I will basically die knowing you love me, but like you don't have the time to figure that out.
She says, if you ever in the future are beating yourself up because you didn't tell me you love me, don't. Because
Yeah.
I already know. And
Right.
that was just like a piece of writing that, you know.
And stop trying to pretend like you hate me. I mean, it's silly.
I like you.
Okay, then will you listen especially close?
What?
You listen real hard?
I said what?
I know you like me. I know it. For the last year or two, you've been pretending like you hate me. I love you very much. I love you as much as I love anybody. As much as I love myself. And in a few years, when I haven't been around to be on your tail about something or irritating you, you're gonna remember. You're gonna remember that time that I bought you the baseball glove when you thought we were too broke. You know? Or when I read you those stories. Or when I let you goof off instead of mowing the lawn. Lots of things like that. And you're gonna realize that you love me. And maybe you're gonna feel badly because you never told me. But don't. I know that you love me. So don't ever do that to yourself, all right?
Okay.
Okay?
I said okay.
And it works. That scene works so well because you've got the two brothers and the foils for each other are so good. The older one, who is a little shithead, kind of angry, you know, in that
Yeah.
moment. And then the younger son, who is just devastated, like really,
Just
really
weeping.
yeah. And he's like, he doesn't understand why his older brother is like mad. And the two of them together, and then Debra Winger, who was like this sun in their solar system, just holding it all together. The line where she says, I think this went really well. I was worried about it. Don't you think
Yeah.
it went really well? And the little weeping boy, through tears, nods. It devastating.
Yeah,
Just
truly.
devastating.
Yeah, maybe one of the best, like, it's really tough when you're making a movie like this because I think it's very easy to lean into telling you how you should feel. And I think things like that, I think this went really well, that like almost disarm are really nice because then you're like, how do I feel about this? But
that's
it's so brilliant.
Yeah, that's the magic of the movie though, because at no part are you like sure, like, do I care? Like, is Shirley MacLaine an asshole to her? Is she
Right.
the asshole? Like, it's a very emotionally complex and complicated movie about people who do love each other, but have these like really hard relationships. I mean, like at the end of the day, these two women like love gossiping together, and like even though they
Yes.
drive each other insane and mad, and the same thing with like Flap. It's like God, like I can't believe we hurt each other so much, but I'm so happy that we're happy right now. It's the sequence where she goes to New York and her best friend like is now living a different life with different people. Like it's
Yeah.
just all these like really complicated, things. It's such a like kaleidoscope puzzle box of a movie that somehow miraculously sticks the landing. And yeah, she's really good in it. Good pick, Evan.
And I do think, real quick, by the way, speaking of Flap, I do like that the movie also lets you see him through both of their eyes, because I don't think Flap is as dumb as Shirley MacLaine thinks he is. But man, when she's giving it to him, man, when she's talking to him like you're just a fucking idiot, it's so
Yeah,
good.
it's so good.
But then on the reverse of that, like you really do understand why Debra Winger loves him. Like you get it.
Yeah. Oh, so good. This is like a Steel Magnolias ass movie
Yeah,
with just
I think that's why it was kind of a staple, because my mom also really loves Steel Magnolias, and
yeah, emotional women popping off, really good. I can't argue with Terms of Endearment. I think it is primo, but I will say, and the show is called The Mixed Reviews, and so I'm gonna lean into it. I think my favorite performance that she gives is actually in Urban Cowboy.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't disagree with performance.
Yes, and I everything you say about the movie itself, like I think, unfortunately, there is like, oh, it's fucking 1980, and I did shudder, like with. I mean, she gets hit quite a bit in this film, but there is something of that really locked in on you when she was. The movie is beautiful. It's a beautiful movie, and I do think there's a lot of montage, but I was like, my God, to be dancing and making
Yeah.
out with like someone in like this honky tonk, and like it's captured so beautifully. I think this movie is just like a fucking vibe. They put the music front. Is that Bonnie Raitt that it was just singing on stage? Like
The
there's
fucking devil went down to Georgia, and they basically do the whole song, and it's a long song.
yeah, and the Gillies. It's this movie is
Yeah.
like a mood piece about Gillies, which is
Yeah.
this bar, the largest bar in America. And
It's
they
like a
have-
warehouse.
Yeah, and they line dance and square dance, and they have this punching bag machine to like so the cowboys won't hit each other. And then they get this mechanical bull. I like it's funny, like people love a competition. They just want to like, and so this movie revolves around John Travolta's character who, moves from like the country to it's like outside of Houston, this town called
Yeah.
Pasadena. His name's Buford, but they call him Bud. And he works at the oil refinery with his uncle. And he goes to Gillies, where everyone goes to dance and hang out, meets Sissy, which is Debra Winger's character, and they just kind of like instantly have this kind of like back and forth electricity kind of. She's just such a grounding presence. Her earthiness, her naturalness, which I think is like her
Yeah.
real superpower, is just like full on display here. They dance. They have a really hot night of making out on the dance floor. Get married within like a week, and I think their wedding montage is so fun and so
Yes.
beautiful. The like
And she looks great.
pictures, she looks great. They have this like fight outside of like a restaurant, and they're literally wrestling in the mud, and then they get into the truck, and then he's like, "You want to get married?" and boom, they just do. Yeah, the movie is like a little bit ridiculous because it's like the movie I think takes place over 2 weeks or something, and they get married. They like are about to divorce maybe later because this spooky creepy guy comes into town, and he's like a really good mechanical bull rider. A lot of the plot revolves around how good of a mechanical bull rider can John Travolta be. There's a contest around it. There's like, miscommunications about they love each other or not. There's
Right.
Pam, who is like the rich girl who lives in Houston. She's an uptown girl.
Yeah. There's that whole, I will say, I do love the exchange when she's like, did you just do this to make your wife jealous? And he's like, yeah. And she's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. I mean, the end where she's like, you don't love me and I don't love you. But if you ever want to make your wife jealous again, you know where to find me.
Yeah. Pam.
Pam. It's a sexy movie. It's
and they're both very sexy in it.
They're both very sexy in it. I just think, Sissy, even though I think it's easy for us to judge this movie through our lens, I think there's a lot of reality here for people who grow up in rural Texas, who are poor, who are, the thing you do when you're like young and hot, like you get married, you start having kids. Like I will say, I will give the movie credit for the arc of John Travolta. A spoiler alert, his uncle dies in a accident at work with like fucking lightning or thunder, whatever. Before he dies, though, he tells him like, you have to swallow your pride.
Yeah.
You cannot. And so there is this like arc of him being like, what you think about is being a man is not really the thing. Because him and his wife are so lovely, and they're like a Dolly Parton contest, like lookalike contest.
I do love the Dolly Parton lookalike contest. Yeah.
Yeah, there is just a lot to love here, even though there are some, aspects of the movie that aren't as strong. I think the core of her and John Travolta though is just so powerful. And I just love the electricity that she brings to it. I think she feels very natural here. I think she just feels so in her element. The scene of her on the bull when she's like trying to like fuck him up by like basically humping the bull. So hot. So hot. I was scandalized.
Bud, will you just take off your shirt?
Just get away from me. I don't need your help, and I don't want your help. You're showing off on that goddamn bull no more neither.
I wasn't showing off.
What the hell you call it if you don't call it showing off? Huh?
I call it riding it.
Oh, just riding it, huh?
That's right, riding it. I'm gonna ride it again and again as much as I want to.
No, you're not. You think you are, but you ain't.
You're not my daddy. You can't tell me what to do.
Well, look, I'm the next best thing to your daddy. I'm your husband. I say you ain't never riding it, ever.
I think you're just jealous because I can ride it better than you.
I'm what?
In the end, they get together and it's all good and fine, and he wins the contest. And it's like a kind of, for a movie that's like a little bit slight, it is such a perfect like slice of Americana that I think was groundbreaking and culture defining in the moment. I read somewhere like this movie was the reason why like there was a revival of country music popularity in the country. Like there's a lot here.
It had a huge impact. And this will just be real quick. Can I give it a compliment on filmmaking aspect as well too? Because we have both said that this is a very beautiful film. One of the things I think has been lost. A lot of people when they talk about like a sense of place, I think there's talking about the writing of a movie. But I think this movie also does a really amazing job. Gillies itself, like I feel like I could walk into Gillies and know where everything is. The movie lays it out so beautifully throughout the film that like it never at any point, and like that being able to know a space, being able to establish a space and like as a physical location, especially something that big, is a difficult thing. And I don't think people give enough credit to like people don't think about filmmaking when they watch a movie, and that impressed me so much when I was like oh, I really understand Gillies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think again, Terms of Endearment is a colossal achievement in writing, filmmaking, acting, all the things. But when I watched Urban Cowboy, I was like, oh, this is why she is who she is. This is she popped off.
I am glad you picked it because like maybe I'll give it another shot through different eyes at some point. But
listen, Terms of Endearment will forever stay with me. Other things that we liked, Evan, I do think An Officer and Gentleman is worth watching. I think she is very good in it. I think somehow these people stumbled into like the right formula of her and Richard Gere and anxiety around the Vietnam War and like suicide, like caution in that area. Like there's a lot of it in this movie. not a lot, but like enough.
Enough.
Like certainly enough. I enjoyed watching that film.
I just real quick, obviously Rachel getting married. We've talked a bunch about Rachel getting
Yeah.
married, and her role is very small, but I love that movie and will always love that movie. Cannery Row was a real surprise for me, especially because it didn't get good reviews, but I was very charmed by it, and I thought her chemistry with Nick Nolte is really great. And there's like a hilarious dance scene in the movie, and honestly, like a dance that just gets weirder and funnier as it goes along is one of my comedy soft spots. And I know that's a very specific comedy soft spot, but this movie scratched that itch. And The Lovers, which came out in 2017, very underrated. And I don't even know how I feel about Azazel Jacobs, who wrote and directed it. I didn't really like his last movie, Three Daughters or whatever, but this worked for me. It's about a couple who's like been cheating on each other for a very long time. They have like long-term extramarital affairs, and they suddenly start being attracted to each other again, and so it's like they're cheating on each other with each other. And
Love
it's her and playwright Tracy Letts, who is also an
Husband
amazing
of
actor.
Carrie Coon.
Husband of Carrie Coon. Perfect. Oh my god, it all comes full circle.
Yes.
Yeah, I really liked that movie. It's not flawless, but it is very good, and they're both incredible in it.
I would say my big surprise was Forget Paris.
Yeah, good one. It's a good one.
Fun movie. Okay, Gavin, let's do our mixed reviews review.
Absolutely. My 1-star review was 1993's A Dangerous Woman.
Same, diva.
No Ariana Grande found here. Look, I can do pop culture references. And my 5-star review was 1983's Terms of Endearment.
My 5-star review is 1980's Urban Cowboy. All right, Gavin, now let's get into our fast forward.
The 80s really was her era, and I almost think that she's probably like, I feel like now she's like actually kind of done. I'm sure she'll pop up in other things. Like you said, she's doing a lot of TV. But I don't think she's ever trying to get that like big leading lady role anymore.
I just don't think she cares. You know, the last thing she did was an episode of Accused, which was an anthology series on Fox. Yeah, she was one episode. You know, The Ranch is over now. She's done tip spots on other shows here and there. Nothing like very, I would say, Hollywood forward or, you know, like splashy. And she hasn't really come back to the stage. She was on Broadway, we didn't mention, but she did do The Anarchist. It was a production of David Mamet's play, The Anarchist. That was in 2012. So like, yeah, now she's 70 years old. Her kids are grown. I don't know that she like has a lot of interest in, you know, Hollywood. She kind of like is happy to be the grand dam diva that people just talk about.
We didn't really talk about this, but she's also producing. Like she produced a documentary that was nominated for an Academy Award. Like she is doing behind the scenes stuff as well too. So like there is some interest there. She said the problem with doing any of that stuff is like raising the money. And even for somebody like her, who's also married to another actor, it's still like the capital isn't always there, and the game is very different now than it used to be. I personally don't know if I need her to do any other Hollywood stuff. I'm fine if she's like you said, being the grand dame, being an activist. If, you know, she's really putting her money where her mouth is, maybe she still stays behind the scenes. But I think she's good. I think, you know, like you said, I don't think she cares. So I think she thinks there are deeper callings in this life than doing this anymore.
100%. And I think that's part of like the reason why we were so attracted to like those earlier films is like it's just like natural. It was like this, like she was not yet jaded by the horrors of making films and working with fucking all the celebrities and doing interviews and all the extracurricular things that are associated with it.
Trying to maintain a weight to make yourself, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think like I would be happy if she was come back for like another Rachel getting married type thing where it's like an independent thing, which clearly she's more into now anyway. But I forgot to mention this earlier. I was thinking about how in Urban Cowboy, when they're on the bulls, her and John Travolta, and I was thinking about like, could Sydney Sweeney do this, or would they like do some CGI nonsense? Like,
Yeah.
because and it looks crazy. Like she not only does the sexy thing, she does like a real like whipping, bucking, all the things. And I think I read also somewhere that like said something to the effect of that in her heyday, she was like the Jennifer Lawrence of, Hollywood, where she was doing everything critically acclaimed, very, varied career. And I love Jennifer Lawrence. I think she's a great actress. She's done amazing things. But I was just thinking like now, specifically now, if Sydney Sweeney is the girl of the moment, I just don't know, like the physicality of something like Urban Cowboy seems really hard to do these days. But I bring that to just be thinking about like, her legacy and like what people like will remember her for. I think Terms of Endearment clearly will be something that people will talk about for a long time. But I also think, this idea of like being difficult to work with. We didn't mention that she was not impressed with John Malkovich in The Sheltering Sky.
In The Sheltering Sky, yeah.
Had a hard time with him. I was thinking about like the last time we really had a story about this or like this was when Mad Max Fury Road. And Charlize and what's his face? Bane, whatever his name is.
Tom Hardy.
They were not vibing and kind of like that came out in the press or whatever. But like Charlize is doing fine. Like no one's like, I can't work with Charlize. But I just think it's interesting to think about like, we do talk about Viola Davis not taking Jared Leto's shit on
Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Suicide Squad and stuff like that.
And listen, it goes sort of without saying, we brought it up before, like labeling a woman difficult in Hollywood is very different than labeling a man difficult in Hollywood. Men get away with a lot of things and women, like it can destroy a career, especially if a man labels a woman difficult. So like that, it's tough all around. And I'm glad she was able to like overcome that and also like do the things that she wants to do instead of having to play the game.
Well, I think also, I think what she realized was like, oh God, like this isn't just about acting. I have to do like stuff. And like, fucking deal with like bullshit. And I'm not going to be like a little wilting flower girly. Because even though, like we said, she was doing whatever it took to get in front of people, I don't think she was like, pick me. Like I'm just like a little baby. Like she was not that girl, like she was, what she was doing, what was like, how are you going to tell me no? I am as good, like, as I say I am. And someone mentioned like, she was like Marilyn Monroe. Like when something happened when the camera was on her, she lit up and the camera just loves her. And there was different directors who said like, when I saw her in screen testing, like, or in person, like I didn't see it. And it wasn't until like, on the screen and I was like, oh, it makes sense here. So yeah, I think she's good. I think like her contribution to film history is like solid and set.
Yeah.
She never won an Oscar, but who cares?
Right. It's an honor just to be nominated.
There you go. I deserve this.
Like you just said, I think that wraps up Debra Winger. But if you want to give us the accolades you think that are good and coming to us, you can always find us on Blue Sky at The Mixed Reviews.
You can find us on Facebook. Just type in The Mixed Reviews.
You can always write us a little email at reviewsmixed@gmail.com.
Also over on Instagram at _mix_reviews.
And if you want to listen to our back catalog, just as you've listened to this entire episode, you can always find us on any major podcast app. We're on Apple, Spotify, Audible, Amazon. Just Google The Mixed Reviews. You'll find us. Also, if you can do us a huge favor while you're there, leave us a little 5-star rating, write us a little review. We'll leave it on we'll read it on the show.
Yeah. And we are happy to be part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective, part of a panoply of shows about all sorts of pop culture ephemera. Gavin has another show called The Q Division, all about James Bond, with former guest and deep friend of the pod, Miss Chels.
Yes.
Did you? Is it spilling hot goss if I mention who's your next special guest?
Well, we have a couple coming up because we record it way ahead of time. So, but yes, if you want, that'll be our December episode.
Okay, well, Miss Trana Wintour, the
Yes.
diva of the North, Miss Canadian Trader herself, is leaping from our show to your show for a little tip spot. So exciting.
But we are in contact with her people to try and get her back here as well, possibly even before the Q Division episode airs. So hey.
More Trana Wintour in our lives. We love to see it.
She's the fucking best.
She is the fucking best. But yeah, go check out Skrionk and all the, Are You My Mother? Like there's so many shows at the Glare Collective. Check those out. Thank you guys for listening so much, and we will see you next time. Bye.
We'll be back next month.
And when you smile, it's my reflection, mixed with everything I feel. All of my flaws, look what I've caused to appear.
Why can't I say what you most need to hear?
Don't leave me stuck in the dark, dear.
Oh, here we go with our words and the bad.